She walked in wearing heels that echoed power and loneliness. He stood behind the coffee counter, hands stained from grease, a little boy clinging to his leg. When she took the cup and unfolded the napkin tucked beneath it, her fingers trembled. The note said only 7 words, but they shattered something deep inside her and started a chain reaction no one saw coming. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. The cafe was quiet at 7:32 a.m., just before the usual morning rush. Daniel Reed, a 34-year-old single dad with strong forearms and a weathered smile, wiped down the counter while glancing nervously at the clock. His 6-year-old son, Oliver, sat at the corner booth doodling rocket ships and wishing he could have pancakes for breakfast instead of cereal. Then she walked in, a sharp silhouette against the morning light. Black slacks, pale blue blouse, leather heels worth more than Daniel's paycheck, and eyes that looked like they'd stopped trusting the world a long time ago. "Double shot espresso, almond milk, extra hot," she said, not even looking up from her phone. Daniel nodded, glanced at Oliver, then at the napkin dispenser. He scribbled something quickly before placing the note under the cup as he passed it over with a calm, "On the house today." She frowned. Why? He hesitated only for a moment. Some people look like they need kindness more than caffeine. She arched a brow but said nothing until she saw the napkin beneath her cup. Her fingers hesitated before pulling it free. "If you ever want to feel human again, come back. No press, no pressure." Her grip faltered. Her breath hitched, because only one person ever said something like that to her. And he died 3 years ago. She left without a word. But the next morning, she was back. And that was just the beginning. When she walked in the next day, everything in the cafe seemed to slow. Daniel was wiping a spill off Oliver's hoodie. The moment he looked up and saw her, he didn't smile. He nodded, respectful, calm, like she wasn't the most powerful woman in the state, like she wasn't Madison Hale, the billionaire CEO of Hale Dynamics. "Same order?" he asked quietly. She paused. "No." Then softly, "Surprise me." Daniel raised an eyebrow and nodded once before turning. Oliver peeked over the counter, curious. Daniel poured her a cappuccino, slow and thoughtful, dusting the foam with cinnamon. She took a seat this time. The same booth Oliver had drawn rocket ships in. The boy looked up at her with soft hazel eyes. "Are you sad?" Madison blinked. "What makes you say that?" Oliver pointed at her phone. "People who look at phones while drinking coffee are always sad. My dad told me that." Daniel coughed from behind the espresso machine, half amused and half horrified. "I guess your dad might be onto something," Madison murmured. The cup was warm in her hands. Different, not just the flavor, the feeling. "I'm Madison," she said after a long silence. Daniel dried his hands on a cloth. "I know. Daniel, this is Oliver." She looked down at the boy. "How old are you?" "6. But I want to be 35 so I can drive a truck and punch bad guys." She smiled. And for a second, just a flicker, it reached her eyes. That evening, in her penthouse suite overlooking the skyline, Madison stared at the napkin again. "If you ever want to feel human again, come back." She had everything: shares, legacy, security teams. But none of it had made her feel anything in years. Until today. Until a man with oil under his nails made her a coffee and told her nothing about himself. The third day, she didn't wear heels. She wore sneakers, and she brought muffins. Oliver beamed. Daniel blinked, wiping his hands. "You brought food?" "I figured I owe you a cup or two." Madison said, sliding the box across the counter. And your kid's drawing me rocket ships now. Oliver lifted one proudly. This one is you. You're flying it. Madison laughed quietly, something loosening in her chest. She hadn't laughed like that in months. Why did you write that note? She asked Daniel later, voice low. He shrugged. Sometimes people forget who they are. Just thought you looked like someone who needed reminding. Madison stared at him. You don't know me. I didn't have to. And then she whispered, maybe you should. 3 weeks. That's how long Madison kept coming back. No drivers, no security, no headlines. Just her, sneakers on, hair in a low bun, and always, always carrying something small for Oliver. A coloring book, a pack of fruit snacks, a tiny rocket keychain he refused to let go of. Daniel never asked why she came. She never explained. But one morning, she didn't show up. And by noon, her face was everywhere. Breaking: CEO Madison Hale hospitalized after collapse at shareholder conference. Whispers of overwork, isolation, and burnout plague Hale Dynamics. Daniel read the headline 3 times before whispering. She was running on fumes. Oliver stared at the screen. Is she okay? I don't know, buddy. 2 days later, Madison returned. Pale. Slower, but standing. Daniel froze when he saw her. You shouldn't be out. I had to be. Her voice cracked. I needed to see something real. She slid a manila envelope across the counter. Don't open this yet. Why not? Because once you do, your life changes forever. The next day, Daniel opened it. Inside was a legal contract. Stock transfer, $50 million worth of Hale Dynamics shares. Ownership to be vested in trust. For Oliver. Daniel froze. What is this? He whispered. There was a note attached. He reminded me who I used to be. Before the pressure, before the name. Let him never forget who he is. Let this be my thank you. Madison Hale. But news doesn't stay silent. A blurry photo of Madison and Oliver holding hands outside the cafe hit social media. And then came the questions. Who's the man she visits every morning? Single dad with a secret connection to CEO? Billionaire's quiet gift to mechanic's son sparks outrage and awe. Madison's board flipped. Journalists camped outside Daniel's apartment. He had to carry Oliver out the back door to walk him to school. And still, Madison showed up. I didn't mean for it to blow up, she said one day, voice strained. I know, Daniel replied, but you changed everything. She looked up. So did you. But her company didn't agree. That same night, Madison was called to an emergency board meeting. She returned with her jaw clenched, her hands shaking. I'm being voted out, she whispered. They think I'm losing control. Daniel blinked. Because you were kind? Because I wasn't predictable. But she didn't cry. Instead, she said, if I lose everything tomorrow, promise me you'll still serve me coffee. He took her hand gently. I'd serve you coffee even if the world burned down. And for the first time, she wept. Not from defeat, from finally being seen. Daniel had never been in a boardroom. Not until that day. Not until Madison stood beside him, jaw set like steel, walking into Hale Dynamics headquarters like she wasn't about to be crucified. He wore his cleanest shirt. Still smelled faintly of engine oil. Oliver stayed home with Mrs. Gerber from next door, just in case this gets loud, Daniel had told him. When the doors shut behind them, it was silence. Then, Miss Hale, barked Gregory Lang, the board's lead chair. This isn't a playground. No, she said evenly, but it's no longer your kingdom either. She dropped a thick folder onto the table. Daniel watched, quiet, trying to make sense of the storm brewing before him. "This is Daniel Reed," Madison said firmly, "a man of integrity, and the father of the boy who now owns 4% of Hale Dynamics through a family trust." Gasps, stares. One woman in pearls dropped her pen. "He's not qualified to hold," Gregory began. Madison cut him off. "He's not here to run anything. He's here because your problem isn't control. It's the fact that you never learned what loyalty feels like." Later, in the parking garage, Daniel finally exhaled. "Madison, what was that?" She leaned against the wall, eyes closed. "That was me reclaiming what I built, before they choked the life out of it." He looked at her. "Why bring me?" She looked up. "Because the moment I stood alone, I lost. But the moment someone believed in me again, I remembered how to fight." But that night, it got worse. Gregory leaked private footage, surveillance showing Madison and Daniel holding hands outside the cafe. The media pounced. Billionaire CEO gives shares to barista boyfriend? Nepotism or romance? Is Hale Dynamics being run by feelings? Reporters crowded Daniel's apartment. He picked up Oliver from school under police escort. At night, he stared at the ceiling, asking himself, "Am I really helping her? Or am I just dragging her down?" Then one morning, Madison didn't show up. Not the next either. He texted. No reply. Day 4. An envelope slid under his door. No return address. Inside, a key and one more napkin. "If you believe in me, come find me." She was at the lake house she'd told no one about. The one her father left her. Daniel drove 5 hours, walked through the snow, found her sitting on the floor, curled up in an old sweatshirt. "I had to get away," she whispered. He knelt beside her. "Why'd you give me the key?" "Because," she said, voice breaking, "you're the only one who knocks before opening the door." That night, they didn't kiss. They just talked about dreams, loss, the years that went missing. At 3 a.m., she asked softly, "Do you still see me as that woman who walked into your cafe?" Daniel's voice was steady. "No." She stiffened slightly until he added, "I see someone braver." Madison returned to the city 1 week later. Not with security, not with lawyers, with Daniel and Oliver holding her hand. The press went wild, but this time, she smiled through the flashing cameras. Because this time, she owned the moment. At the annual Hale Dynamics Summit, she stepped onto the stage, silence falling over a crowd of suits and billionaires. "I've been called reckless," she said, "emotional, weak. But the truth is, I was lonely." People shifted in their seats. I let power replace purpose. Until one morning, a man I didn't know gave me a cup of coffee and a note. She held it up, crumpled, faded, but real. "If you ever want to feel human again." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then she gestured to the side. Daniel stepped out, Oliver beside him, wide-eyed but brave. I stepped away to remember who I am. And I came back stronger. The next morning, Daniel opened the cafe and found something waiting on his counter, a golden plaque. "This cafe saved a life. MH. He smiled. Behind him, Oliver shouted, "Dad, she's back." Madison was at the door. No heels, just coffee. And this time, it was her turn to slide a note. He read it, smiled, and whispered, "Yeah, I'd love to."